so many questions about...
Hey, Howard. Yeah, that's right. So we were supposed to have a press conference around 3 o'clock with Talmadge Magno just to get a briefing on the Kilauea eruption, but obviously that's quite delayed, and I stepped in there to find out what the delay could be. The reason being he's currently in a powwow, a meeting with Governor David Ige, being briefed on the current situation, which I'm told is ever-changing, very dynamic, a very fluid situation. So we're not quite sure much of those details right now. We do know that residents in Lanipuna Gardens is being asked to evacuate. Now, Lanipuna Gardens, that's not as big as Leilani Estates. I'm told there are about 3,000 recorded residents in that area. However, they were told to evacuate at the same time last week as those living in Leilani Estates. So officials are currently hoping that most have gone out. Let me get someone here that could get some information. If we could get geologist Janet Babb. 1 second. Hi, Janet. Could we grab you 1 second? This is geologist Janet Babb with USGS. She's going to have a better understanding of what we're seeing. Hi, Janet. Thank you for joining us. Tell us about these current eruptions.
Well, this afternoon, after a pause last night, not surprisingly, really, unfortunately, several fissures broke out today. One we call Fissure 13 broke out in the area of Fissure 5, the earlier Fissure 5. And then it lasted about half an hour, and then a little bit later, another fissure broke out near the former Fissure 3, and then around 2:30 we got a report that there was another fissure that was closer to where 13 had broken out. What we're not certain of is if it's an extension of that Fissure 13 or if it will be given Fissure 15. It will be named Fissure 15. So it's just a rapidly evolving situation. Things are changing quickly, and this has been the concern all along about this type of eruption, because just because there's a pause, it doesn't mean the eruption's over, and things can change quickly.
So just to be clear, there are 3 fissures now.
Well, in total, there's at least 14 fissures in
3 new fissures, I meant.
New, as far as new fissures, yes, 3. It's just the third one, we're not sure if it's going to be given its own number or if it's going to be an extension of one of the earlier ones that opened today.
Why is that?
Well, the USGS scientists that have seen this, they were in the air, and so now they need to be on the ground to really check out if it's an extension of that earlier fissure or if it will be a separate fissure.
Okay. I want to ask about the particular fissures. I am told a civil defense employee told me that Fissure 13 took out 1 home. Can we confirm that?
That would be a question for Hawaii County Civil Defense. They track those kind of statistics.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that one currently active?
As far as I heard, Fissure 13 only lasted about half an hour, but that's the uncertainty now in that we don't know if what happened starting around 2:30 was an extension of 13, and so it would still be classified as active. So that's what we're waiting to see. We have folks on the ground, and we'll know more a little bit later today.
Thank you. Yep. Janet, I appreciate it. This is Janet Babb, once again, geologist at USGS. I do see that Talmadge Magno just got here. I believe the press conference is going to be starting momentarily. Give us a second, guys, and we'll try to make this happen for you.
Thank you very much, Bridget. I'll take it here until you get in position there. I know how it works, having been there the last couple of days. It's a very fluid situation. Speaking of fluid, it's raining there, and that always makes things even that much more difficult because there's not much space there as civil defense. Up inside is, again, as they call it, the war room. They're not allowing any media up there because, again, there's a lot of conversations that are taking place that they want to vet their information before they allow the media to be able to listen in on that. And there's no space in there, so everybody's just got to kind of gather outside the Civil Defense building there in Hilo, which is right behind the Big Island Police Department there. Problem is when it's raining, there's nowhere to go, but they have Talmadge Magno there, so let's go back out live to Hilo.
Take it, Ben, take it.
3 new fissures now.
So after, maybe 24 hours of a pause, these 2 vents opened up on the northeast portion of the subdivision, Leilani subdivision. And so they've impacted the roadways, definitely cut off some of the points that residents were using to access the subdivision. So that's going to create some hardship. I think it's severed the water line again that the water department had just fixed. And we had to make sure that we evacuated the Lani Puna Garden subdivision again. So I know crews are out there. There's a number of people who are at their residences, and so they got them out. And
What about the residents of Leilani Estates? What's happening to them? Are they still being allowed to go in and out of their homes to get their belongings?
yes, they are. You know, there's a big. This activity is on the northeast corner of the subdivision, and so the rest of the subdivision, aside from being impacted by the gases, should be okay at this point.
Talmadge, what can you tell us about these 3 new fissures?
They look very active. You know, they pretty much cut some roadways, but pretty active vents. So, as we've been saying, you know, this eruption is not over, and so it just kind of confirms what we've been seeing.
So just to confirm, you're now confirming that 3rd or the 15th is a fissure. It's confirmed now.
Well, not sure that if it's going to be a continuation of a previous fissure, and you know that's what we assume. There's so many of them popping up; they're going to be just joining together.
Talmadge, we have a crew at Isaac Hale Beach Park where Civil Defense has been telling folks there at Lani Puna Gardens to evacuate, but we're told that there was no one there. Are people evacuating? Are people aware that this is where they need to go?
Well, we told them to evacuate towards the ocean, towards Isaac Hale Beach Park. So that's their way out. The other way was blocked already. So the police were down there. Well, there was supposed to be a roadblock in that area, but Civil Defense was not intending to be there. It was just the direction that they needed to go to evacuate. Our information center is in Pahoa, so if they need assistance, they need to go to Pahoa.
Can we confirm that Fissure 13 took out 1 home?
I'm not sure at this point, but you know there was mention that looks like at least 1 home was going to go, but we'll wait for confirmation. We got a flight going at 3:30, and we'll be able to tell what impacts there was.
Talmadge, for anyone in the Lani Puna Gardens area, are there boots on the ground in terms of people going door to door to get people out, or are they just supposed to rely on that cell phone alert that a lot of people heard but a lot of people didn't hear?
Yeah, we've got people on the ground. We were watching that corner of the subdivision as this happened, and then right away realizing that Lani Puna Gardens was going to be vulnerable, made sure that people went in there and started evacuating. They went door to door. You know, police, public works, civil defense, we're all in there trying to get people out.
And you're not getting any word that there's any holdouts at this point, or is it too early to tell?
No word of holdouts. I know they were able to get a 88-year-old gentleman who had no vehicle. They assisted in getting him out, and they'll be moving him to Pahoa.
You know, we were reporting that there's about 1,700 residents of Leilani. How many in Lani Puna do you think that you're trying to coordinate and deal with?
You know, I forget the numbers. Definitely a smaller subdivision, mainly just a couple streets. A lot easier to deal with, and so you know the guys are in there making sure everybody's out.
For those who are not familiar with that area, can you give us a better understanding of where Lani Puna Gardens is?
So, you know, the area is the East Rift Zone of Kilauea. You know, it's kind of in the proximity of Leilani, basically across the street on the other side from Leilani. And so it's between Leilani and PGV. Lani Puna Gardens is located there.
Where the sirens sounded?
No sirens.
Why not?
Well, it's such an isolated area. We were able to isolate the emergency notification just to that site.
Talmadge, you mentioned PGV. You were there at the meeting. At least Hawaii County officials were there at the meeting, not you, but the mayor was there, and the governor was there, saying that they're working with PGV to make sure that the pentane gas is removed. Do you know the status of that? What's the latest?
I think they're working with the state to get containers to move the pentane.
Is there any renewed concern about Puna geothermal?
We've always been concerned about it, so That's
With
it.
the current venting that's happening, is there any flow activity at this point in that direction, or is it spattering in place like some of the other fissures have over the past few days?
Yeah, the initial footage I saw was too early to see any flow movement. Perhaps the 3:30 flight will show that.
Thomas, can you give us an update on the number of structures that have now been destroyed, number of homes versus other structures?
So we're just calling it 36 structures.
The 27 homes now, up from 26?
I'm not sure what the differentiation is.
Can you clarify for us how many people, how many residents there are actually in Lani Kuna Gardens and how many holdouts there were before this most recent evacuation?
As far as those numbers, I don't have the accurate numbers and holdouts, I'm not sure, but we know that people were going in and out of that subdivision, so we just got to go door to door
Even
to
though
each
they
of the houses.
Even though they weren't allowed to, they weren't meant to be going in
Right.
and out, they were still.
Right.
How much for transportation purposes? They got to go out Red Road now, basically Four Corners and out that way?
Yes, they've got to go towards the ocean on Poiki Road and then out on 137, yes. But they can come up 132 to get up, back up to Pohoa. Yeah. Four Corners to 132 back to Pohoa.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
With regard to the pentane that's at PGV, whose decision is it as to where it will go once those containers do arrive?
At this point, it's PGV's, it's property.
Has there been any discussion as to where, would it stay on the Big Island, would it go off island, to the mainland?
I think I've got a site someplace on this side of the island, on the east
on
side.
this side of the
Yes. Yeah.
How long will shelters be open?
We'll keep the shelters open as long as we need to, and we're looking for further long-term housing. But fortunately, one reason we chose county facilities is that it won't impact schools. So, granted, it's impacting some of the communities, activities, and so, we're looking at down the road a little bit longer-term accommodations.
So again, remind us, what is your message to the community?
Well, at this point, we're still active, still stay alert. Seems like almost every day we get into this situation. We know we got people in there accessing their residences, so they got to be alert when they're in there. Don't let their guard down. And then the other message is, take care of the impacted people and kind of stay strong, be together.
How are you mobilizing resources in terms of all these people that you say are still kind of going in and out or choosing to remain? I mean, how can you make sure that they're going to be out safe, and how do you have enough resources to deal with them all if you don't have an estimate of who's still in there?
Right, so Leilani, we're still doing since we started the placard system, we're not going to know. Prior to that, we were taking identification of driver's licenses, so we had a pretty good accounting of who's in there. So it's going to be basically left up to the patrols at night as to who's in there. But
Talmadge, can you mention about the PGV again? Because some residents want to know, they had a question for you live now. Is the flow heading toward PGV at all?
as I said, the last footage I saw, there's no flow. It's just a fissure.
Talmadge Magno, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks.
Really appreciate it. That was
Thank
Talmadge
you.
Magno, the
All right, that was Talmadge Magno with Hawaii County Civil Defense. He says that 3 new fissures have opened. That makes it 13, 14, and 15. He could not tell us how many residents in Lani Kuna Gardens have to be evacuated, but he does tell us that it is considerably a smaller subdivision versus Leilani Estates. Howard, sending it back to you.